guy retired at 34 with $1.2 million.
And 2 years later, he's depressed.
Depressed, divorced, and actually back at work. And the thing is, he is not a cautionary tale. He's like the median fire outcome that literally no one wants to admit.
Yeah, nobody talks about it.
Right. So welcome to today's deep dive, because today we're looking at a huge stack of sources. We've got academic research from Econ Store on retirement psychology, financial analyses from the Safe Withdrawal Rate series, some clinical psychology on career identity, and of course, deep cut discussions straight from the FIRE community.
Which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, for anyone who isn't familiar.
Exactly. And our mission today is to examine the hidden costs of retiring at 35. We want to uncover what the spreadsheets are leaving out because, I mean, FIRE sounds like the ultimate freedom, right? If you're listening to this right now, dreading your Monday commute, who wouldn't want to escape the rat race?
It sounds perfect on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But the contrarian thesis we really need to look at today is that FIRE optimizes for the exact wrong variable.
How so?
Well, it solves a problem most people don't actually have, which is a job they hate, by creating a problem nobody planned for.
Which is a life with zero structure.
Exactly. The exit isn't the answer. The design of your life is.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we look at the crisis of early retirement itself, we have to look at how people even get there.
Yeah.
The psychological toll of, the accumulation phase.
Right. The basic math of FIRE is brutal. You're saving 50 to 75% of your income to retire in under a decade.
Which brings us to what the sources call the frugality tax.
Yeah, the frugality tax. It's essentially years of extreme denial. And I want to be clear, we aren't talking about stealth frugality here.
Right, like stealth frugality is just living below your means, maybe driving an older car, having a sensible budget. Right, nobody even notices you're doing it.
Exactly. But the FIRE community sources, they highlight some truly unhinged antics. Borrowing Netflix passwords to save $15, refusing to turn on the heat in winter, eating nothing but rice and beans for a decade. It's a severe deprivation.
It really is. I always compare that kind of extreme frugality to holding your breath underwater.
That's a great analogy.
Because, you can do it for a while. You forced yourself to swim toward the edge of the pool. Your lungs are burning, but you just keep kicking because you know the finish line is there. But eventually, you panic and gasp for air. And reading these sources, I kept thinking, are people just pausing their lives to rush to a finish line?
Yeah, they're trading years of small joys for time they don't even know how to use.
Yeah, exactly.
And this matters so much from a psychological standpoint. When you spend 10 or 15 years focused solely on saving every single penny, you completely fail to develop any interests outside of frugality.
Because hobbies cost money.
Right. Socializing costs money. Exploring what you actually like to do requires some capital. So, when the accumulation phase finally ends, you haven't just quit your job. You've lost your only real hobby, which was saving money.
Wow.
So there's this massive void, and the skills you used to get there don't help you figure out what to do next.
Okay, so let's say someone pushes through. They pay the frugality tax, hit their magic number, say 1.5 million, and they quit at 35. What happens when reality actually hits the spreadsheet? Because this is where the math gets really interesting.
It does. Let's talk about the famous 4% rule.
Right, the holy grail of FIRE.
Exactly. It was created by William Bengen back in 1994. And the math says you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio every year, adjusted for inflation, and never run out of money.
But the Safe Withdrawal Rate series totally tears this apart for early retirees, right?
Oh, completely. Because Bengen's rule assumes a 30-year retirement. It assumes you stop working at 65. But if you retire at 35, you're looking at a 50, maybe 60-year time horizon.
Which introduces what they call sequence of return risk.
Right. It's the math no one runs. Sequence of return risk is basically asking what happens if you retire into a lost decade, like the cohorts who retired right before the 1929 crash or 1968.
So if the market crashes 20% the month after you quit your job?
Yes. Your $1 million portfolio is suddenly $800,000. But you still need to eat, right?
Right. You still have to take out your 40 grand for the year.
Exactly. So now you're at $760,000. You are selling off shares at rock bottom prices. And once those shares are gone, they can never benefit from the market rebounding.
You're literally cannibalizing your principal just to buy groceries.
It's terrifying. The SWR series proves that for a 50-year horizon, you can't use 4%. You need a much more conservative withdrawal rate, like 3.25 or 3.5%.
Which means you need a way bigger nest egg to begin with.
Much bigger. And that's not even touching the massive unknown of U.S. healthcare costs.
Oh, the ACA premiums. Before Medicare kicks in at 65.
Right. If you retire at 35, you have 30 years of open market healthcare costs. A bad year of out-of-pocket maximums can absolutely obliterate a lean fire portfolio.
But wait, this brings up a glaring contradiction in the sources for me. If the math is so perilous, if sequence of return risk and healthcare are these huge threats, how do all these famous fire bloggers make it work? They're always posting from, like, a beach in Thailand.
It's the ultimate irony of the movement. Many of those fire gurus didn't actually retire. They just traded a corporate job they hated for a media job they loved.
Oh, wow. Right.
Writing blogs, podcasting, selling books and courses, that is their new job. It provides a massive safety net of active income that their average follower just doesn't have.
So they're basically monetizing the concept of early retirement.
Exactly. And it
Ah.
creates this huge survivorship bias.
Mhm.
We only hear from the bloggers who retired into a historic bull market and make 100 grand a year off affiliate links.
Yeah.
We don't hear from the guy who retired in 2007, got wiped out, and quietly went back to accounting.
That is wild. Okay, but let's assume the math holds up perfectly for our guy. Market booms, healthcare is somehow sorted, and he's totally fine financially. Now comes what the sources call the psychological free fall.
The identity collapse.
Right. Dive into this econ store research for me, because we tend to view a job as just a paycheck. But this study on work-related identity loss says it's so much more.
It really is. Work provides routine, it provides purposeful activity, it gives you a social circle and status within a hierarchy.
Here's where it gets really interesting, looking at the clinical psychology insights from Annie Wright. She talks about career identity fusion,
Yes, a very dangerous state to be in if you're planning to quit.
because it's when your job title isn't just something you have, it's something you are. It's a structural load-bearing wall in your mind. And there was this story in the sources about Dr. Lauren. She was a 47-year-old physician, right?
Right, her hospital contract wasn't renewed, not even for cause, just a corporate merger.
And, quote, she was not knowing where the floor was. That's what she told her therapist. She was just sitting at home, completely paralyzed, waiting to find out who she was now that she wasn't Dr. Lauren anymore.
That's identity fusion at work. When the job vanishes, the person feels like they've vanished too.
But push back on this for a second. What if you're just genuinely passionate about your job? Like, I love what I do. How do you know if you are fused or if you're just, passionate?
That's a crucial distinction. The clinical difference really comes down to the vacation test.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, passionate people can take a 2-week vacation, leave their laptop at home, and completely unplug. They enjoy the rest because they have a sense of self outside of their professional output.
And fused people.
Fused people experience a break from work as an actual threat to their identity. When they step away, they get anxious. They feel this creeping sense of non-existence. So for them, a 50-year retirement isn't freedom. It feels like annihilation.
Annihilation. Wow. That explains why our 34-year-old guy ended up depressed and back at work. He achieved the dream, but he erased his entire identity to do it.
And that ties directly into the continuity theory of aging from the Econ Store research.
Right, keeping your habits and social contacts intact. So if full fire is this mathematically perilous and psychologically devastating for a lot of people, how do people achieve freedom without the free fall? Because the sources talk about these variations, the saner cousins, they call them.
Yes, Coast Fire and Barista Fire. These are brilliant adaptations.
Let's start with Coast Fire.
So Coast Fire involves saving incredibly aggressively early on in your career. You push hard in your 20s, maybe early 30s. But instead of saving until you can completely quit, you just save until your investments hit a critical mass.
And then you let compound interest take the wheel.
Exactly. You step back to a lower stress job, one that just covers your day-to-day living expenses while your nest egg quietly grows in the background for the next 30 years.
And then there's Barista Fire, which honestly feels like the ultimate life hack.
It really is. Barista Fire is basically semi-retirement. You work a part-time job, famously at a place like Starbucks, specifically to get the health insurance benefits.
It's just a brilliant hack for the U.S. healthcare system.
Right. You get the medical coverage you desperately need, without the 80-hour corporate burnout. Plus, your part-time income means you're withdrawing way less from your portfolio, which provides a massive buffer against that sequence of return risk we talked about.
But it also solves the psychological problem, doesn't it?
Completely. And this goes back to the continuity theory from Econ Store. They studied military veterans, right?
Oh, yeah, the Royal British Legion study.
Right. Vets who left the military but found purpose and group membership in organizations like the Legion maintained their psychological well-being. Barista Fire does the exact same thing. It gives you a routine, coworkers, a place to be on a Tuesday morning. It synthesizes the mathematical safety with the psychological need for structure.
Which brings us to the ultimate realization about this entire philosophy. We have to look at Bill Perkins' Die with Zero. Now, the Safe Withdrawal Rate series absolutely tore his linear math to shreds.
Oh, mathematically, his book is a mess. You can't just divide your net worth by your estimated years left to live. It completely ignores inflation, market volatility, and, well, the fact that you can't predict when you'll die.
Right, but while his spreadsheets are flawed, his underlying message is arguably the most important part of this whole deep dive. The goal isn't to blindly hoard wealth out of fear for some unknown future.
Exactly. The goal is to maximize memorable life experiences and meaning in the present.
So what does this all mean?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, FIRE isn't fundamentally about money at all.
No.
No, it's a desperate cry for autonomy. People are tired, they feel trapped. But running away from a bad job isn't the same as running toward a good life. You don't need an early exit. You need better life design.
Wow. Running away versus running toward, that is exactly it. Which brings us to the challenge for you, listening right now. We call it the Day 31 Challenge.
This is a tough one.
It is. I want you to imagine that you hit your FIRE number tomorrow. You quit, you take a month-long trip, you catch up on sleep, the burnout fades. Now, write down what you would actually do on Day 31. You wake up at 8 a.m. Then what? If you can't fill that page with actual meaningful things...
You're not chasing freedom. You're chasing an escape.
Exactly.
I'll leave you with a final thought to mull over. We've seen how much intense, unbelievable discipline it takes to achieve FIRE. What if, instead of applying all that savings discipline toward escaping the workforce, you applied it to finding a career you actually loved? If you built a life you didn't want to run away from, would you ever even want to retire at 35?
That completely flips the script. It's such a great question to ask yourself. Well, next time on the deep dive, we are zooming out to the macro level. Inflation isn't just a number on a chart, it's a tax. And here's how it really works, in language a 12-year-old can easily follow. We will see you then.